Something wrong in his head. He must be on somewhere. Wow. Ain't normal. Who's bothered?
That is why Steve Lane is one of the most
yeah, really interested.
one of the most oldest roads.
Really interested. We're finished now.
Yeah. Bradley Hall is probably the second oldest house in Bradley, and it's probably outside of the facade of Bradley Hall. It's probably older than Bradley Grange in parts. Parts of it are probably, you know, it's really, there's some bits of Bradley Grange that's old and some bits of it, they're really both very, very old buildings. It's hard to tell them apart, really. It's a typical lathe house of the West Riding, where they're on that time where the barn, the thing called a byre, and the house all sit in the one continuous roof, so obviously all animals and everybody else would all sit together, be under one same roof. The origins of Bradley Hall are still very obscure. The earliest documentary reference of Bradley Hall dates from 1547, and architecturally there survives an exterior doorway of this period in the central lathe, with small narrow windows in the walling above which may be of a similar date. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Bradley Hall was remodelled, and the house mostly dates from this period. All through the byre part, or cattle shed, at the northern end is of red brick and was added much later, possibly even as late as the early part of the 20th century. Inside the byre, against the exterior stone wall of the central lathe, is fixed a wooden board. On this wooden board it marks the heights and dates of previous floods of the Calder River, which runs quite a few distance from it's nearby. The water depths are recorded on this piece of wood, and on 10th of December 1837 the height mark from the ground would have been about 6 feet, so it would be about 6 feet up wall of this building. In 16th of November 1866 it reached 8 feet up the building, but the record was in 1946 when it reached about 10 feet up to the building wall. So it gives you some idea of floods it passed, how, in comparison to today, I've never ever in my lifetime seen the water from Calder ever get even near Bradley Hall. Most it's flooded is the nearby field that's just below railway line. It's probably around this area where original medieval village of Bradley Nucleus was, before the establishment of Bradley Grange, higher up on the hillside. And obviously the road that became past Bradley Grange eventually became the principal highway of the district, Bradley Road. So probably Steep Lane, which runs past both Bradley Grange and Bradley Hall, is one of the oldest roads in Bradley. The Royal and Ancients. Although the building itself only dates from the 1930s, it replaced an earlier hostelry called the Spinner's Arms, which on 14th of February 1818 witnessed one of the worst industrial disasters of the age. At the time, a cotton mill owned by Thomas and Law Atkinson stood opposite the Spinner's Arms, and as was customary in these times, the mill operated continuously 24 hours a day in order to maximise profits. During the night, those who were supposed to be watching over the mill would return home to their own beds, while the workforce, many of whom were children, were locked in the factory overnight. On one such occasion, a boy named James Thornton was sent to the carding room to fetch some roving equipment, equipped only with a candle. Tragically, the boy dropped the candle, which ignited a pile of nearby cotton, and due to the high quantity of combustible material in the factory, the factory was soon an inferno. Finding all the doors locked, some of those inside managed to escape using ladders, but others succumbed to the smoke and confusion. Of the 26 people working in Atkinson Mill that night, only 9 survived. The remaining 17, all girls between 9 and 18, perished in the conflagration. When the fire finally died down, their bodies were recovered and taken to an impromptu mortuary in the cellar of the Spinner's Arms. They were later buried at Kirkeaton Church. 9 days later, Sir Robert Peel introduced the Cotton Mills and Factories Act in the House of Commons, which restricted hours that children could work.